You're listening to the voices behind Women's Cricket Chat. That's Hannah, Georgie, Cassie, Mahika and Alex. Coming up on today's podcast, it's the episode you've all been waiting for. We've got the one, the only, Queen of Speccies, Fran Wilson. Now, we obviously talked to Fran about that pointless episode and the dynamic duo of her and Georgie, her move back to Western Storm, and making the tough decision to retire from international cricket. This is also the last episode with Hannah for a while, as she's just given birth to her little girl Phoebe. The team would like to wish her and Howard a massive congrats on the birth of their child, Phoebe, and good luck with the sleepless nights.
Okay, today we are welcoming to the podcast World Cup winner, pointless winner, my partner in crime, Fran Wilson. Fran, welcome to the pod. You're joining me, Georgie, and Hannah, very close to term with a baby. So it's going to be an exciting pod today.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, you know, we're recording this just after you and I went live, won pointless the other day. You've won many a trophy in your time. So we've got to start things off. Like, you've played in 3 World Cups. Which one was the highlight? Probably the winning one. What was it like to win a World Cup?
Yeah, it's incredible. It feels like a long time ago now. I guess it was. It was, 5 years ago? Yeah, I just think the whole tournament, so 2017, was just incredible to be a part of. And it's even like cooler now looking back. I think initially you don't really think about it because you're in the moment and you're kind of in it. But like looking back, you think about all the cool memories and all like the close games and just the friends and everything. And yeah, it's incredible to have been a part of.
And before we get onto all the cricket stuff, let's take it back to point as well. So how highly does that rank alongside that 2017 experience?
Oh, it's the life achievement, I think. Greatest life achievement.
Yeah, I was saying, in all seriousness, how did you find it?
Yeah, it was good fun. It was really good fun. I genuinely wasn't expecting to get past the first round, but yeah, no, like it was amazing.
Basically, Fran and I rocked up and we're like, we don't really know what we're doing here. Okay, and I was like, Fran, you are at least a Cricket World Cup winner. I just sit and record a podcast and then proclaim to the world that I sit next to a penguin. So actually, it just got even worse. And yeah, I think everyone was quite surprised that we won it.
Yeah, we were last minute cuts, weren't we? Because Heather and Tammy couldn't do it because they had some kind of training or something. So we were like called up the day before, and I was like, all I remember is seeing everything that you couldn't wear, and I was like, I have nothing to wear. Like, you couldn't wear black, and I was like, that's like my whole wardrobe. I've got nothing to wear. So yeah, it was definitely unexpected, but I guess, I don't know, sometimes they're the best things in life, you know, unexpected.
I did get a lot of really random messages from people being like, you're really tall. And I was like, I know, but also Fran is not that tall. So we probably be quite ridiculous right now. Someone was like, you must be at least 6'5". And I was like, you're an idiot. No, I'm not. I was playing international basketball right now.
I got the same. Everyone was like, you have to keep panning out to see you both because Georgie's so tall. And I was like, I don't think she's that tall. Like,
but did you walk past Richard Osman? Because then I was like, I definitely don't feel tall right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Madness. But yeah, and everyone can be like, hey, did you get asked lots of cricket questions? I was like, no. And I got a very rude message from my brother when we got the Formula One question wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not for podcast ears. Also, I'm pretty sure that trophy is heavier than the World Cup trophy.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Oh, what the point?
Well, you've lifted both. I haven't, so you're gonna have to tell us. Yeah,
the pointless trophy's like, it would be a good, not that I'm a violent person, but it'd be a good weapon. Like if someone broke into your home, like it's sturdy. It's like a brick, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was on the train home and I was like, I could kill a man with something that's in my bag right now. That would be quite a story. It could be Richard Osman's next novel. There you go.
You both absolutely smashed it and came across super intelligent and gave the most roguish answers. Was it 3 pointless answers throughout that whole episode or something?
Yeah. I think Georgie can probably take credit for it's definitely the chemistry ones because I have no idea about chemistry.
Well, I had to pretend to the person in the dressing room beforehand that I don't watch the show religiously every day at 5:15. She was like, so do you know how the show works? And I was like, oh yeah, I think, you're just trying to get low scores. I didn't go, I actually watch this every single day, and was really annoyed when Boris was giving his daily talks and it took over Pointless. Anyway, so I think, I rubbed my own ego enough. We're bored of that one. So We're going to take it way, way back. Fran Wilson, cricketer and pointless winner, but that can go second on your CV these days. How did the cricket journey start? Who got you into it, and what sort of ignited the love for the game?
I think it's the classic story of cricketers my age is, you know, older brother, dad in the back garden, really. Yeah, we just used to play. I remember we'd wait for my dad to come home, like, Dad, can we play cricket now? So we'd just always be playing in the garden. I had neighbours as well, and all the boys next door, it's always boys. I was like the only girl, and we'd just have like massive cricket games. And yeah, I think that's where it kind of started, really. I just loved it. And then from there, joined Bath Cricket Club, got into the kind of Somerset stuff and met Hannah. And then I went on to England and all of that. I don't really know how it all happened. It did, really.
And you mentioned Somerset, obviously the motherland, the best place in the country. Who was it in that kind of time when you were playing? Who were the female kind of role models that you were playing around? And because there's like the likes of Jackie Hawker and people like that did have a few England appearances? Yeah,
definitely. And I always say this when people ask me, like, who inspired you? I always say those kind of senior players around at that time. So like Jackie Hawker, Hannah Lloyd. Did you play with Hannah Lloyd? No. So she was also like one of the kind of senior players in that Somerset team. And they were just like really good people and just a lot of fun to be around, but also really good to play cricket with. They looked after me. I think I was like 14 in that Somerset senior team, which I look back now, it was like quite a scary thought, actually. But yeah, I just always was surrounded by really good older players, and that's really, really important, I think. I think I use that now when I'm playing. Now I'm older, the older one. I've taken really seriously my role as like looking after the younger players.
And do you think that there's been a really big change in how those younger players are managed, you know, physically and psychologically? Because obviously we focus a lot more on strength these days, but then also the mental health support. Is that different now to when you were coming through?
Yeah, definitely. Massively different. I think there's more of an awareness around kind of looking after the players, which is a really good thing. I think there's a challenge with it as well, because there's a lot of what we used to do that was really, really good. So how do I explain what I'm trying to say here? So it's really, it's so good we're now looking after people. We need to get that balance between, no, you have to be at this thing, you have to commit in this way. And I think that's just a challenge that we're going through at the moment, because it's a bit of a transition phase between how it used to be and how it is now. But it's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, because I think especially at the moment with this professionalisation, it's the first time where you as a former England player, you had that kind of sense of structured day-to-day kind of training, you know what you're meant to be doing. Whereas in this regional setup now, especially the younger players, it's a bit of a culture shock for some of them, I think. I've had some players like, oh, I'm too tired for a session today. It's like, no, cricket is your job now, you know, and that must be quite hard.
Yeah, it is. And I guess it's not even just the younger players, it's probably all of us, but yeah, it's definitely difficult. And I guess back in the day, we played for the love of the game. And like, the expectation was that you were there, whether you were getting paid or not. I mean, not even expenses when I was like 14, 15. That didn't affect me as my parents. So yeah, it is really difficult. It's now people's jobs. And I think it's just finding that balance, and it's just in a teething stage at the moment, especially in kind of our domestic setup. It's 3 years in, and yeah, I think we're getting there, so that's good.
And so you were really young, obviously, when you got first involved, and then you made your way up through into the England setup. Can you remember what you felt like when you made your debut?
Oh God, I'm totally out of my depth, nervous. I wasn't ready to play for England. I think I've said this quite a lot in interviews, but I think maybe back then, because there was no transition, it was literally county cricket in your whites in some random pitch, not watched by no one, to the Wacker in Perth on TV, Meg Lanning making her debut. There was no transition, and for someone like me, I felt very overwhelmed, and I probably wasn't technically as good as I should have been at either. So yeah, so that first time playing for England, I just was completely out of my depth, and it was a little bit scary, to be honest with you.
What preparation did you have going through that kind of transition? Because obviously there's like the Super Fours and that kind of stuff, but beyond that, was there much preparation? I know you said there isn't, but what did you have?
Back then it was, we'd have weekend camps up in Loughborough, so we'd have like 3-day camps every couple of weeks, and there was Super Fours, but I don't think I really played in that. I think I was really fast tracked. I think I had a really good county season, and it was like, right, we need to get her in. Whereas now I think it'd be, right, we need to get her in and around the environment, around the academy, play lots of those games. So yeah, if I'm honest, I don't think I played super fours. I think I was literally straight in from county cricket.
When you made your debut in 2010, that was before like England women got their first professional contracts in 2014.
Yeah.
So it really was a completely different landscape, wasn't it?
Oh, it's completely different. But it didn't matter. Like, it was really weird because I still wanted to play for England, and that was my like ambition and my goal, but it wasn't a career. So I don't know what I thought I was going to be doing. Like, I don't know, just earning money somewhere and then playing cricket for the whole time. So yeah, the logistics probably didn't match up. But yeah, it was completely different. Like, we would train on a Thursday, train at weekends, and then go on tour for 6 weeks. And I don't really know how players managed it. I guess a lot of them just had really good employers that kind of helped them out.
And so then obviously career carried on from there. And there was a time you went out to Australia for the Ashes in 2011. And there were 2 Golden Ducks there. And then a 3-year sort of barren period away from England. How did you deal with that one? So both mentally, physically, and keep yourself motivated to get back into that England side?
Yeah, well, I think I got back from that Australia tour and I just didn't want to play for England anymore. Like, I didn't want to do it. I'd just been so scarred that I was just like homesick, and I just didn't think I was good enough. And back then, it was really weird. I just thought that if you were good enough, you didn't have those doubts. If someone's good enough to play for England, this is exactly what went through my head. If someone's good enough to play for England, they don't doubt themselves. They don't get nervous. And I think it's because when I looked around that changing room, it was all so experienced, knew exactly what they were doing, and I felt completely out of place. So yeah, back to your question, I kind of went back and I was at uni, luckily, and I just had the best 3 years at uni, if I'm honest with you. I played football, so I joined the football team and got into like the performance squad. So it was almost like training like a professional athlete, but going out on a Wednesday night, which was amazing. I met some amazing friends, got really involved in the club, uni. So yeah, did loads of cool stuff and developed my confidence, developed a lot of other areas of my life, let alone just having a really good group of friends away from cricket as well. And I attribute a lot of getting back into that England team to my experiences at Bath Uni and my friendship group and the football club, just because it gave me so much to then leave uni and be like, okay, right, now you can like knuckle down and try and get back into that England team.
I think that's one of those things that's really important, because it shows that you need to have that balance. You can't just spend your entire life, especially when you're so young, playing cricket, thinking cricket, dreaming cricket, talking about cricket, because it is going to just completely burn you out, isn't it? Also, I want to know, what position in football, and are you that person who gets really competitive in the warm-up when you guys are playing football?
So I was centre mid. I know Frank Lampard's retired now, but I saw myself as like Frank Lampard, goal-scoring midfielder. And yeah, oh my God, I've chilled out a little bit now, although my friends would say otherwise. But I'm a very competitive, annoying person. Like, board games, like, forget it. Like, it's not acceptable, to be honest. Christmas in the Wilson household is like genuinely... I'll be a massive fallout every year.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like now I want to take it back slightly, but now I'm like, I want to talk more about board games and your competitive edge. When you're talking about football, it made me think of like the Loughborough football girls that obviously, you know, Tony, and she went to the World Cup, and that photo of the Wilsons worldwide and the rest of it. So we'll come on to that a bit later on. But you mentioned about the squad you were in during 2010. And obviously the context around that, it's a squad that won the 2009 World Cup, the T20 World Cup and an Ashes. So to even like break into that squad, we had like Danny Wyatt on the other day, and she said about making her debut in 2010, it was a little bit kind of unexpected because that cohort of players were so strong. So was there that additional pressure like you mentioned?
Yeah, I think so, because like just before that, I was literally just the biggest fan. Like, I would stay up and like follow the scores, and like when they were playing in like the 2009 World Cup. So I was just the biggest fangirl basically. So to go from that to then training with these people, like, it was, as I said before, I was just really overwhelmed. Yeah. And I wouldn't have shown it. I'd have been like, no, I'm fine. I'm really cool and I'm brave. But like deep down, I was like, oh my God, I'm not good enough to be here. And I think it was also quite a difficult time because that 2009 World Cup team, they were kind of going into a transition phase. So it wasn't like you were joining the team at the start of their journey to being the best in the world. It was like almost on the way out into new transition, a new cycle. So you had that added kind of pressure of probably not being the best team anymore. So yeah, it was a really difficult thing. I'll probably echo what Danny White said. It was a really weird time to kind of join that England team.
And was there someone in that setup who sort of took you under their wing?
Yeah, like they were amazing to be honest. So like Lydia Greenway, who I'm really close to still now. Laura Marsh was amazing. I remember that the game when I played at the Wacker and I came off and I think I dropped a catch or something and I was just like really up. You know when you're on the verge of tears but like you're just holding it back, and I just remember Catherine Brunt coming up to me in the changing room like putting a hand on my knee and like, "You're okay, Fran?" And I just like burst into tears. The worst. Catherine does that as well. She's just like one of these emotional people who like makes you emotional. And like Jenny Gunn as well. Like they were all an amazing team and a great group of people. I think there was just that I probably just wasn't ready to play for England. Really sorry, I'm gonna shut this other window.
Honestly, don't stress. So you mentioned fielding and a drop catch, which is, we don't see that from you these days, you know. I know you hate it a little bit because obviously you are an unbelievable fielder, but that's not the only thing you want to be known for, is it?
No, like I did always find it a little bit frustrating. It was always like, oh, Fran Wilson, best fielder in the world, which is great, amazing. But like I always felt in that England team that I never really got to consistently show what I could do with the bat. So that was always a bit of a frustration from my part. But I guess maybe a good frustration because it's not a bad thing to be known for your fielding.
And you say that you sort of had that frustration, you couldn't show what you wanted to do with the bat. If you was it because you didn't get to bat where you might have wanted to and then show what you could do? Was it that you couldn't express yourself and you're sort of being molded into somewhere that you might not necessarily wanted to bat?
Yeah, a little bit. I think I had like phases of like batting 5-6, which I really enjoyed, and like it is an exciting position. I think it just got to a point where I was like, this isn't where I want it to be in the end. So the progression wasn't there, if that makes sense. So I just got stuck at 6 and like felt like I was never going to push through and get ahead of the likes of Nat and Heather. And that's, I guess, what led to my retirement with it, really. But having said that, like I did have an amazing, however many, probably 5 years kind of batting in that middle order, like 6, 5, well, sometimes I got to 5, but yeah, I had like 5 years batting at 6 for England, and that was like incredible. Like I still got to play in some amazing games, play some really good innings, and yeah, I still really enjoyed my time with the England squad.
And you mentioned Heather there, obviously Somerset girl, Devon girl. What was it like growing up and facing her? And do you know much about her at the time when you were growing up? Was there that rivalry between Somerset and Devon?
Oh God, yeah, huge. Did you play in that game down at Kings Bruton, was it? Did you play in that?
The one where we got like 300 or something, or not that one, or was the finals, wasn't it? Or something.
Yeah, finals. There was just like, it was a really good game. And yeah, we had some good games with Devon. I remember Heather was always the one who just scored 100 every week. I remember one time though, we played them and this was in my bowling days, and I got her caught and bowled and she got like 6. I think we won the game actually. So yeah, that's my highlight of my bowling career.
Do you still remind her of it?
Oh, absolutely. And then she always, without fail, comes back with, "Oh yeah, but Fran, do you remember the time I hit you into the tree at that Taunton Festival?" I'm like, yeah, I remember that as well. So to be fair, she's got a lot more comebacks than me.
It's when you go to that tree and she's carved it here, like Heather was here, ha ha, Fran.
Yeah, I should go check that actually.
And so obviously she's gone on to become, this prolific England captain, and you've played under her at times. What's she been like to have as a captain?
Yeah, she's been incredible. I mean, she's done it for a long time now. So the way I describe Heather as a captain, she just sets the standards. So like with training, with fitness, with attitude to challenges, she sets the standard. She's always the one who's like, no, we can do more. Let's go and do this. Let's do extra. And I mean, that's something that I really, really value and kind of look up to. So, and you need that. I think that's a huge thing about kind of making it to the next level, and then the level beyond that is that want just to always do more. Obviously, you don't want to burn out, but if you're in that mindset where you want to keep learning and keep pushing yourself, you've got to. If you want to be at the top, that's kind of essential, really. So
you mentioned that talk of burnout, and obviously we have had a pretty turbulent last few years. There was pandemic, then there was bubble life. What was that like, and how difficult was it dealing with that, especially when you weren't necessarily getting the chance to play and there was a lot of drink carrying?
Yeah, it was really tough, to be honest. Like that. So taking it back to before we were even on the cricket pitch, like the COVID, it was kind of a nice opportunity just to take a step back, because we'd had quite a busy winter, and I think we'd been at the World Cup and been away, and yeah, it was actually quite nice just to go home, spend some time with your families, like just have a break. But then obviously we got back into it, and yeah, the bubbles were really tough. I think last year, like just before I retired, yeah, it wasn't that fun. I think all you have is that bubble. So all you have is training, carrying the drinks in my sense, and the same people. And those people are great, but I think it's really important to be able to kind of have that release, and your whole identity is like wrapped around those three things. And if you're not playing, and if you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, it wasn't even that I wasn't just playing, it just felt like I had nothing to kind of aim for or work on. And I think that's what I found like really difficult, like, because I'm a really good trainer and I love training, but I didn't even want to train. I didn't want to train. And I think that's when I kind of thought, maybe I need a bit of a change, really. So yeah, the only thing is I obviously knew that it was very bubble specific, but it kind of just made things quite clear to me that I needed a new direction and a new kind of challenge to push my cricket again.
And you've got a background as well in nutrition. And do you do masters in nutrition, right?
I did, yeah.
With that as well, obviously with the bubble life, there's a lot of delivery. And I've heard from kind of some players that actually really affected them. Like, it's a novelty to begin with, but then actually you just want some like home cooked food and some actual proper nutrition.
Yeah, definitely. And I love cooking as well. I realised that now, spending more time at home, how much I love cooking. And yeah, delivery was a bit soul destroying in the end. I think nutritionally you can make pretty good decisions. Like there's so much choice now, but I think just for me it was just the actual action of cooking and having like autonomy and being able to walk to the shop and buy it and cook, which I really missed.
And I guess that's just part of the monotony of bubble life, but also you were missing out once things got going a bit more and the domestic scene came back in. You were missing out on being able to play that just because you were with the England side but not necessarily getting to play. How difficult was that, watching youngsters perhaps come through that, and you're there like, I'm kind of at England but I'm kind of not, and I actually would quite like to be batting and playing some cricket?
Yeah, that was probably the toughest thing, actually, when the Hey Ho Flint Trophy started going, and all you see is what's on Twitter, and like you just see, I think I probably came off it in the end, but you see everyone else, it's like everyone else can have fun and you're just not. It's like, the kids that you just like been grounded and you're sitting there watching everyone else do what they want to do. And yeah, it was that feeling of not really belonging anywhere, like not really fully part of the England team, although everyone like does their best to keep you included. Like you never get that when you're not consistently not playing, and then but also not fully part of the domestic setup. Like I think I played maybe 2-3 games for the Sunrisers as well, so you're in nothing and you just feel a bit of a nomad, bit of a no man's land, which was definitely a big challenge of it.
So did it actually come as quite a relief in the end to retire? Like how long had you been considering it?
I think it first crossed my mind. I'd felt frustrated as an England player probably since that winter. Since we'd come back from COVID, I had felt a bit of a frustration. It was kind of, but it wasn't retirement in my head. I just like had this underlying feeling of like feeling a bit like unfulfilled, a bit uninspired, which is quite weird. It was quite a weird feeling because I've always felt very like driven and inspired in a training context. Where was I? But then I think as the summer went on and the bubbles went on, it kind of became really clear to me that actually I just needed a new challenge. So I don't actually think it was the bubbles and COVID which might have contributed, it might have sped it up, but I think it was really just an underlying feeling that actually I want a new challenge. I want a new challenge in cricket. I just felt a bit stale as an international cricketer, and I didn't feel like I was going to get through that staleness if I kept going in the same direction. I felt like I needed to take a sidestep to then kind of push on. I know it sounds weird because it probably sounds like, oh, you're retiring from international cricket, you're kind of settling in, you're coasting to the end. But for me, it was more, oh, right, how can I enjoy my cricket again? How can I push my cricket again and get that new lease of like passion for it, really? So yeah, I would say I probably started thinking serious about the retirement during that second bubble. I can't remember who we were playing. It's kind of gone out of my memory. Yeah.
And you're talking about a new challenge. Obviously, with the regional stuff, it's provided that. And I want to get on some highlights as well, because I know we've been focusing on those kind of challenges, but there's been a lot of highlights as well in your England career. So perhaps start with some of those highlights and we'll move on to the regional stuff shortly.
Yeah, so I'd say one of the biggest ones was my first game back. There was a lot riding on that game. I think we were playing Pakistan at the the Ageas Bowl. It was a double header, so there was a good crowd in, and I was so nervous. I hadn't played for England in like 5 years, and there was a lot riding on it. And I don't know, somehow I managed to get player of the match, which meant a lot to me. And then, God, there's so many highlights. Like I just love. It sounds stupid, but I love just going to training every week up at Loughborough, and I felt like I was learning so much, especially when Mark Robertson and Ali Maiden were in. Like that kind of build up to that World Cup in 2017, and the World Cup in 2017 was just like, I just felt like I was constantly learning, constantly being pushed, which was definitely a highlight. Probably that 75 it was 81, wasn't it? Against India in the World Cup. That was incredible.
Don't pretend you don't know.
You don't know, was it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what I scored in the World Cup.
I think it was 81. How we thought about it now. And then I know it was only 30 runs, but when we played against South Africa in the semi-final, I got like a 30, and it pretty much got us over the line, and it was at Bristol, and I love playing at Bristol, and it got us to the final, and that was it was just an amazing game, and that was an incredible highlight as well. Honestly, there's quite a few highlights. I could probably sit here all day, but yeah, I loved it. It had such a good time.
And something like a 30, when people look back at scorecards, it doesn't spring out, but what is so great is that the impact that had in the context of a World Cup to get you to the final, you then won, and that's something that's quite special, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And me and Jenny Gunn, we always text each other on the anniversary of that partnership. Like, oh, it's our anniversary today, Jen, because it was such a good partnership, and we just remember the chats we were having, and yeah, it was such an important game and an important partnership to get us through to that final. So yeah, we're very aware as a team like how important those little contributions are.
I feel like that date needs to be shared. Georgie, what do you think?
Yeah, we're 100% having anniversary. Fran, tell the listeners when they need to.
I only know the date because it always comes up on the ECB like on this day, so I don't actually know off the top of my head. But I can let you know it.
We'll drop it on the socials, and we'll get everyone to celebrate. Yeah. Well, it'll be on this day as well. We'll have to call it like, I don't know, I can't think of a good name, like Gunson Day or something, or like Jen Fran. I don't know. I'll come up with something later. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, 2017 World Cup. What were the celebrations like after that match as well? After the final play?
It was amazing. The only thing was we were all absolutely shattered. Like, I think it's hit us like a train. We were like, what has just happened in these last 7 weeks? But yeah, the best was being like in the Lord's changing room and just everyone singing the team song. And then we headed back to the hotel, and I think it's a well-known story, but Catherine Brunt tried to get into a club in her playing and trainers. She tried to get into a club in her playing kit, and they turned her away because she was wearing trainers. So I was like, is it just the trainers? Like, what are you doing? So we couldn't go out. We had to stay in the hotel, but that was really fun. We just like all our friends and family were there. Yeah, it was pretty good celebrations.
She had the World Cup medal around her neck as well.
Yeah, she.
Please tell me she did a "Do You Not Know Who I Am"?
Probably, I would imagine she would. No, I hope she doesn't listen to this.
So we have a date, and it's actually coming up.
Okay, right.
The 19th of July.
19th of July.
And this year will be your 5th anniversary. And the Wiltshire and Gloucestershire Standard were very excited about you on that day, because I am just having a little look at what it is. So that you're measured 30 from 38 balls, alongside experienced Jenny Gunn with 27 from 27. You shepherded the tail home. And Jenny Gunn at the time said Fran was really calm throughout. Is that how you felt, Fran?
I actually think I was pretty calm. Like when there's a task there, like, I mean, off the pitch, I'm probably a little bit like, what the hell's going on? But then when I get on the pitch, I'm like, right, this is the task, we can do it. I remember being really like stern with Jen. I was like, Come on, Jen, low risk.
And Hannah has just informed me that 5 years is the wood anniversary, which actually seems quite apt. It could be either wood or leather. So you've got to get something for, you know, a little engraved bat or something for Jenny. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
So that semi-final was just one of the most incredible games. How did you then get yourselves, you know, back in the mindset of, oh my God, we've done this insane thing. It was almost like a final, that semi-final, and then turn it around and have to, you know, build yourselves back up ready for the final.
Yeah, it was a weird one because we also got given time to go home after that as well. And so we'd been in this a little bit of a bubble, really, a bubble where you could like go out for dinner and stuff and see people. And then suddenly we got to go home and you talk to your family and you see people and they're like, it's almost not helpful because you're like, oh shit, actually this is quite like a big thing. I remember getting the train from where I live to Lords, and I remember sitting next to someone and they're like, oh, you play in the England women's cricket team? And I was like, yeah. And it was just really strange. I'd never been like recognised before, but this guy was like, he'd been following the cricket and he recognised me. And yeah, I guess those few days kind of hit home how big a thing it was. It felt like we had a lot of support and that the nation had really like got behind women's cricket. So it was a challenge to kind of get back on track, really. But I think that team, that squad, like I always think this, it's very, very rare that you have a really good culture in a team. Like, it's so rare. I reckon I've been involved in 3 teams or squads in my whole sporting career, and that team had a fantastic culture and fantastic team, just so focused, so supportive of each other. And I think that kind of just made it really easy just to slip back in and just be like, right, no, I've got a job to do here. Because it wasn't just that final was obviously one day, but it was a build up of probably 18 months of doing really, really well, like the basics really well, and building up to that day, which we obviously won, but that was because we'd done all the hard work beforehand. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge going from that semi-final to the final, but I think the culture that we created made it really easy just to do that.
And who played what role in the change room? You know, did you have someone who was the DJ, someone who brought the jokes, someone who had the rubbish dad dancing?
Oh God, I'm trying to even remember now. I mean, Kathy B is always like the one who's just being an absolute mental person. Like, she's just making everyone laugh. Like, she's the heart and soul of that. Well, was then anyway, the heart and soul of that change room. So it's going to be a massive hole whenever she decides to leave. I'm trying to think. Nat was just like the chilled one. Just Nat and Amy were always the ones that I'd go to. Like, I didn't want advice. I didn't want to be like shouted at. Just go and sit with them and you just feel really chilled. Danny, she would be the one that if I wanted to do something fun or just have a laugh, I'd just go and hang out with Danny. So there was like a person for every occasion. And I think that's why I loved that. Like that team was so cool. Like, there's just so many different characters and someone you could always depend on to go for whatever you needed. I sound like a parasite. Just I need you right now. But yeah, that was probably a great part of that team.
And then thinking now about the domestic stuff, you had to join Sunrisers to begin with, but now you're back at Western Storm, which is obviously amazing. But it's a different role for you now. I guess you've got players coming up to you for that instead now, rather than you going around and being a parasite on others. They're kind of sucking up from you, I guess, now.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I'm really enjoying that role. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of the senior player. I feel like I towards the end of my England career, like I was definitely playing that role as well. So it's kind of like just kind of a natural progression for me. And yeah, I love it. Like, I love coaching. I'm really interested in how to get the best out of people. And so for me, it's quite an enjoyable role to play. Not to mention all the other stuff that I get to do at regional cricket. Like, it's really cool because it's so new. There's so much you can have an impact on, whether that's off the pitch in terms of with the board, or like helping them be like, this is where we need to go, this is what the girls need, or whether it's with the young players coming through. There's so much that you can get involved with. And I think that's exactly what I needed, like going into, I don't know, the last 5 years of my career, is that fresh challenge of, oh, I actually can really have an impact here.
So what do you want to see from the regions? Because you just mentioned it, like, what is the vision from your perspective, and it's already progressed over the last couple of years, but the performance standards have massively improved. But where do you want to take it?
Yeah, I think so. There's it's come so far, and obviously it's amazing that we've got this regional setup. I think in terms of all the regions, they all need a base that they are at one place every training session. That's so important. I think just in terms of enjoyment of your job, just being able to leave your kit there, knowing where you want to live, all those things. I think there needs to be more coaching staff. Like we always talk about player well-being, but coaches, you don't need coaches to be stretched, and because they can't coach their best if they have 30 players they're looking after. And obviously we want more contracts, but for me, obviously the contracts are really important, and that's what looks really good. But actually, we need that structure to support all those contracts. Like I would rather have less contracts and a setup that's amazing that can support the wider squad better than just have contracts because it looks good. So I think that's really, really important. And I'm sure like the people in charge know all that anyway. And it's just a process, and it's always going to take time.
Bring on Fran Wilson, regional director. Nudge. So obviously you are playing alongside some of these really young girls that have come through the system that's obviously really different to when you first got involved, but they actually might be, we could almost call them the World Cup generation. So they would have seen that World Cup and been like, you know what, I want to play. We've got 15-year-olds, haven't we, at the moment playing? We've got 16, 17. They would have seen that. What does it feel like to know that actually you're playing with and against some people that you might have inspired?
Yeah, it's quite cool, actually. I guess it was that same feeling that Jenny Gunn, Catherine Brunt would have got when I was in their changing room back in 2010. Like you feel like you're having an impact. So yeah, like I was at a game yesterday and one of the girls was saying, "Oh, I really want to get your autograph." I was like, "What, really?" I don't think you need my autograph.
I felt the same on Pointless, but I was too scared to ask.
No, I feel like an imposter.
And then Sunrisers, you had a difficult time, but now you're back at Western Storm. What was the decision to come back to West Country?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed being at Sunrisers, and I was living up that way at the time, and with England as well. It meant you work with your regions loads, so you just need to be somewhere close and where you could be at home as much as possible. And I loved working with all the girls. They were a great bunch. The coaches were fantastic. But my decision to move back to the West Country is purely just, I was like, well, I'm settling a little bit now, as in terms of where I'm living, and I'm from the West Country. It's somewhere I'm really passionate about the cricket because I obviously grew up playing there. So I've got a lot of connections in terms of places that I've coached and played against. And I think having that kind of driver is really, really important, especially now I've stepped away from the England stuff. Having that extra driver, it's not just about like pushing yourself to get to the top level anymore. It is about pushing yourself to play and keep improving, but it's also about, right, how can I develop cricket in this area? And I think that was probably a huge part of why I wanted to come back to the West Country.
And you guys had, not a bad campaign in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this year. Obviously, we're looking ahead now to the Rachel Hayhoe Flint. How are preparations going for that? And, can you swipe it off the Vipers this year?
Yeah, I genuinely think we can. I think the Charlotte Edwards Cup, is it Cup or Trophy? Cup, either one. We were very much in a stage, we're a little bit unsettled just because we've had a bit of a turnover of coaches. Although it's not a new team, I don't feel like we knew exactly where we all fitted in. So we're just in that transition phase, and I think that's just normal. Going into the Rachel Hayhoe, I feel like as a team, 50 over cricket will really suit us. We all know Luffy can bat for days, which will be amazing. Like, she can be the glue for our team. And I think we'll have more stability as well, which will be really, really important. So I definitely think we can swipe it off the Vipers.
And you mentioned Luffy as captain there. I can't mention her without linking it to your nutrition degree and her baking. Is it the baked goods that are going to get you to that final? And which one is your favourite?
Could do. She does every Friday in the winter. She baked us cakes, which was amazing. What's my favourite? I feel like she does this Rocky Road type thing. I don't know how she does it.
Hannah's nodding.
Yeah,
a lot of comments about that, and I've seen it. I haven't tasted it, but I want it.
No, she's a good baker.
That Rocky Road looks next level. But back onto you a bit. Also, alongside playing, you've been doing a bit of commentary, And you did a bit of commentary with Georgie, didn't you, at the Charlotte Edwards Cup final?
Yes, we did.
So how have you found that as well outside of playing the game?
Yeah, I love it. It's good fun. I don't think I would want to do it like as like a full-time career, but it's quite cool to just kind of go and watch some cricket and chat about it. And yeah, it's really enjoyable. Like I still feel quite close to the game and the players, so it is a bit tricky sometimes, but yeah, it's good fun, and you get to do it. Like, it was really nice seeing Tash at the final and being able to chat, and yeah, it's just a really cool, like, little sociable little job, and it's good fun.
I think you were probably slightly less stressed than Tash, who was in that box with us, because she was watching her own team that obviously she wanted to be playing for, and they actually did get a lot closer than we thought at one point, but she was a very stressed human, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, Tash is hilarious because she can't hide anything she's feeling. I lived with Tash for a couple of years up in Loughborough. I got to know her quite well, and yeah, you know exactly how she's feeling by the look on her face. And that final, when they were like, I don't know what they were, like 50 for 5 or something, she was stressing. Actually, it was really funny when the ball went through ADR's legs and she was just like, oh, it's not good, is it? I was like, no, poor ADR.
You got to just say what you see, so don't you, when you're doing comms and stuff, I guess. And this is slightly off topic and everything, but Taunton, we've got South Africa Test shortly, coming up super soon next week. What's your thoughts about Test match cricket? Do you want to see, because obviously we've seen those horrendous comments about the future of the women's game. You only got to play, was it one test in your career?
So yeah.
So partly, what was that one experience like? And secondly, do you want to call for more red ball cricket in the women's game?
Yeah, I think firstly, it was obviously very disappointing to hear the ICC stance on women's Test cricket. I think, so for me, like, I feel just very grateful that I got one Test cap, because obviously it's played so irregularly that, you know, to get one, it's actually a pretty cool achievement to have. I think, yeah, I'd love to see more Test cricket. I'd love to see the multi-format series. I think they work really well. And if you can do that financially, I think why not do it? It teaches a different skills, which will be really, really valuable for the other formats. So yeah, I would love to see more Test cricket, and hopefully the people in charge can kind of get that ball moving.
So once we've had Fran Wilson, the cricketer, and then Fran Wilson, regional director, Fran Wilson can just take over and bring in more women's Test matches, and that'll be fine. There you go, all sorted. I've done it for you. I'll be your assistant. Get Luffy to bake stuff and we'll just travel around with it, so that's fine. I feel like we've probably talked your ear off enough, and it's at the time of recording quite early in the morning. Hannah could pop out a baby at any time. The builders could come through your wall. Who knows what might happen, and that's the fun of it all. But we do like to always round it off with some quick fire questions. So we're going to start off with one that we usually use, and that is, what is your favourite item at a cricket tea?
Oh goodness, a scone.
Cream or jam first?
You can do both, can't you?
I don't know. I think if you just sandwich it, then there's no argument.
Yeah.
What's on top, what's on bottom though?
Sideways? I don't know. I don't like cream or jam, so this makes no relevance to me. Get a slather on the butter.
Favourite sledge you've either given out or heard?
Oh God, I'm really not very good at quick fire questions. Sorry to bring it up again, but Kathy B told me to F off when I was 14, so that was funny.
How often do you remind her?
Yeah, all the time. Do you edit this, by the way? I don't know if I should do that.
Oh, that's harmless. That's harmless.
Right.
Totally fine. Favourite place you've played?
Favourite place? I really like the North Sydney Oval in Sydney. Obviously Sydney. Yeah, North Sydney Oval. Obviously Lords. But yeah, North Sydney Oval.
What's been your favourite county to play for? Because you've played for at least 4 or 5.
Yeah, I know, it's not great, is it? I really enjoyed my time at Kent. Like, it obviously helped we won, but yeah, that was good fun.
And so you've made the move from Oval to Welsh Fire. If you could pick, KP nuts or hula hoops?
Hula hoops, any time.
A night in or a night out?
In, definitely.
Favourite person you've ever played with or against?
Danny Wyatt.
Is that with and against? Both?
Yeah, with would be her. Against would be probably Lissy McLeod. I don't know if you guys know her, but we're like best friends, and it's just hilarious when we played each other, like when we were younger. She'd be bowling and just laughing while she was bowling. We'd just have so much fun.
If you hadn't been a cricketer, what would you wanted to do?
I always wanted to be a vet when I was a child. that dream ended when I realised you had to be like really good at chemistry though.
That's where I came in.
Exactly.
I was actually terrible at chemistry. I hated every single moment, but it's come in handy.
You know the periodic table though, so that's good.
I mean, who was it? There was definitely a girl in my year that could sing the Element song, which Daniel Radcliffe can do. Watch the video of him doing the Element song. But very strange. I digress. Person who's inspired you most in your life?
Oh, my mum.
Is she also your biggest fan? Because mums are the best.
Yeah. Wait, what did you just say?
Is she also your biggest fan?
She's actually not, which probably like she doesn't even watch me play cricket. I don't know, she's just great. She always works really hard at stuff and loves everything she does. So I've kind of like look up to that.
Last TV series you binged?
Oh, what was it? Love Island doesn't count, does it? Or does it? Yeah.
You're every day 9 o'clock. Sorry, I can't do anything else now. I've got plans with Love Island.
No, so I don't do the evening. I like wake up in the morning. This is what happens when you're a cricketer and you have loads of spare time. I wake up in the morning and then I have a cup of tea and I watch it. I watch it on catch up. It's great. It's just the best way to start the day.
Literally, that's what I've been doing on maternity leave. Literally, I'm like, cup of tea, Love Island. I can feel better about my life now.
Yeah, and the best thing I love it is because in the evening I'll follow I'll look on Twitter what everyone's writing. I'm like, oh, this sounds funny today. Honestly, I sound like a massive Love Island badger now, but
who do you want to win? Or it's too early to say about winning. So who's your favourite?
My favourites? I don't know. I don't know if I like any of them much. But I don't know. Yeah, no comment yet. Reserve my judgment.
And if you could sum up your cricketing career thus far in 3 words, what would you say? 3 words. I'm going to go with 19th of July.
Yeah, that works. Was that World Cup final day?
No, that was your anniversary.
Jenny Gunn Day. Okay.
Hannah, just one baby in until the 19th of July, yeah?
Well, if it all goes well this morning, that is a possibility. So can you imagine?
Oh, wow.
What will I call her though? Jenny or Fran? Fran.
Franny?
Fran.
There we go. We just sort of our baby name drama. So I'm not happy, just to clarify.
I feel like that is the end of everything I had to ask. Hannah, how about you?
Yeah, that's all good for me.
Well, Fran Wilson, World Cup winner, pointless winner, and future director of world cricket. I'm going to go with that one. We like to aim high on this pod. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll obviously have to get in touch with our friend Richard Osman to tell him that this did happen. Apologies, I didn't have the penguin with me today either, but it's been so fab to have you on, and thanks for getting up mega early. We dragged you away from watching your morning Love Island, and thank you for coming on Women's Cricket Chat, and I'm sure we will all cross paths again in the very near future.
Thank you. You did actually drag me away from Love Island. I just realised that.
Massive thanks to Fran for coming on and being a guest on the podcast. It was really interesting to hear her thoughts on the pointless win, to hear her thoughts about moving back to Western Storm, her time at Sunrisers, and just, what an all-round good player she is. And, if you want to keep up to date with everything that Fran's doing, her tweets, Instagram, whatever, then she is at FWilson07 on both. And to all our listeners, if you want to keep up to date with everything that we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter at WCricketChat, on Instagram at Women's Cricket Chat, and if you want to give us a like on Facebook, we are Women's Cricket Chat. If you'd like to give our personal Twitters a follow, then it's at HannahT1194, at Georgie Heath27, at Cassie Coombs98, at Mehika Varshni, and I'm at Alex James Guerrero. This has been Women's Cricket Chat. Tune in next time.